Hi everyone, Spydiechick here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today we're going to be talking about the Spyderco Lil Native, a knife that really has made its way into my EDC rotation, for me specifically in an office setting, and also with regards to many different other EDC tasks as well. So for me, what I find is really important for me is that a knife is small and it's carryable and it actually has fast opening as well. It's comfortable, and with respect to ergonomics, I would say the Spyderco Lil Native really shines there. Important thing I want to notice here is that one of the things that really stood out for me for the Spyderco Lil Native is the fact that it has a compression lock. The compression lock itself is easy to open, easy to close, and it's strong, it's reliable, and as well it's the Spyderco Lil Native. I find that aesthetically it looks really pleasing. So just to give people a little bit of an idea, how small is the Spyderco Lil Native? On the very left you have the Spyderco Lil, followed by the Spyderco Dragonfly. Then we have the Spyderco Lil Native in the center. Right beside on the right we have the Benchmade Griptilian, and then we have the Kershaw 1555 version, and then we had the Para 3. So let's put the Spyderco Lil Native just below the Para 3, just to give a little bit of a perspective here. The Spyderco Lil Native, as you can see, it gets completely trumped by the Para 3 in terms of size, and we're going to have a little bit more of an in-depth look in terms of the Para 3 and the Spyderco Lil Native in just a moment. This Benchmade Griptilian is on the bottom, and then we have the Kershaw 1555 on the top. So as you can see, the Spyderco Lil Native is a small knife, especially if you compare with respect to this overall length. And the quintessential standard, the Spyderco Dragonfly, the Spyderco Dragonfly is actually just, even that is just, the Spyderco Lil Native is just a little bit larger than that, and just above we have the Spyderco Lil, which is also another great knife. So let's take a look, just to give a little bit of an idea, into some more specifics. The Spyderco Lil Native, it has a small wire clip, tip-up carry, left and right, of an option on both sides. The Spyderco Lil Native enters into the pocket well and disappears pretty much in the pocket, whether or not you put it in the front or in the rear. An important thing, though, is that the Lil Native, I want to say, is that because of the G10 grippy texture, we find that sometimes that may cause a little bit of pocket wear, but that may not be an issue for everyone. So going into some more specifics here, I wanted to show a little bit of an example of what the Spyderco Lil Native looks like up close. As you can see, the Lil Native has, as you can imagine, the trusty G10 grippy texture. The fit and finish looks great. It has a compression lock with an S30V blade. The opening action is nice and smooth, and the aesthetics of the knife I find is quite pleasing. Very smooth lines, soft edges, such that there aren't any hot spots when I'm handling it. As you can expect from a compression lock, flow through construction as well. That shortened wire clip is very reminiscent to the Spyderco Dragonfly, and I have no concerns with that. So I found the Spyderco Lil Native is just a beautiful knife. As you can actually see inside, you can see some skeletonization to really reduce the weight, so that the Spyderco Lil Native comes in at just about 2.5 ounces, or about 71 grams. It's definitely not going to cause any major issues in terms of weight. In terms of cutting performance, what I thought it would be nice and I thought it would be fun to do is if I obtained a few different items just to give an example of how the Spyderco Native fares with respect to its cutting performance. What we have here is we have a little banana, and I have had the option to show how the Spyderco Lil Native cuts from a couple different angles. I found that when I was cutting a banana, or just any type of simple food prep task, I found that the cutting was smooth, not too much resistance, and I actually found it was quite fun to use. Yes, the knife itself, the blade itself is actually quite short, but I didn't really find there was many issues with that. In fact, I found that having the shortened blade really heightened the amount of control that I felt when I was using the knife. here we have a small mushroom, and the mushroom itself naturally has a little bit more resistance, a little bit more friction. No issues there, even when I was cutting larger and smaller pieces. Next up I have here is I have a small little potato, and I thought it was quite enjoyable to cut it with large and thin slices as well. And of course, if I wanted to cut the potato and I want to do some peeling per se, no issues there. So if you can imagine, if you wanted to peel a potato or maybe peel an orange or peel an apple, I really don't think there will be many issues when you're using the Spyderco Native. Really no concerns with respect to its cutting. Of course, I figure many people, they may not be using the Lil Native for intense food prep tasks because of the short length of its blade, but I want people to know that when there's the opportunity that you have to use it for food prep tasks, I don't think it will disappoint. So for people like me that may be using the Lil Native for a lot of different just opening packages and envelopes and what have you, I found that in terms of using the Spyderco Lil Native for opening, just for cutting paper, no concerns there. I found that the slicing ability was fine. And I actually, what I wanted to do and I wanted to show people here is if I wanted to cut and make some small little curls, which I think is a nice demonstration of the cutting performance, there weren't many issues there, and I was actually quite impressed. As you can see in this footage here, the Lil Native didn't disappoint and was able to cut quite nicely. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, and I wanted to show a little bit more of an in-depth look of the Spyderco Lil Native on the right and then the Para 3 on the left. I would say that the Para 3, I must say, it's just a fantastic knife. I find that the overall fit and finish is great. I love the compression lock. It's easy to use. It's a fast opener. The only thing for me is I typically work actually in an office environment, and I found that the Para 3 for me, because my office environment is quite a sensitive environment, especially in a healthcare setting, I find that the Para 3 is a little bit too large. And I want people to see here in terms of the actual extension tab that's used for closing the compression lock. I would say that it's pretty much the same size as the Lil Native. So if you're used to using the Para 3, I found that if you're used to using it or used to using another form of a compression lock, the Lil Native, it just really didn't feel cramped, and I found that the opening and closing mechanism or the movement to be really easy to use. So if you're used to using the Spyderco compression lock, then you're not going to have any problems there. I wanted to show a little bit more about the overall fit and finish. The Lil Native, no issues with blade centering, and you can see here just on the top of the spine, or actually just at the point of the between the knife blade and also the topmost jimping, you can see there's actually just a tiny little bit of jimping right on the top of the blade, and it's not very much, but it actually holds very well. And I find that I thought that was quite interesting that the run of jimping was quite short. So overall, the Spyderco Lil Native, I think the knife is fantastic. Ergonomics, it feels great. Many different handholds you can use with it. The fit and finish is quite lovely. Jimping is useful and purposeful. Clean lines. It has flow-through construction. Overall, the knife, it comes in MSRP of roughly about 174 USD. In terms of typical store price, I was able to get it between 113 USD currency or about 143 Canadian dollars. So overall, I think the knife is a great buy. It's really worth it, and I really suggest it overall. I think it's a fantastic addition. So thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate your support. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. You can like the video, and there's a couple other videos on the screen for you to take a look at for some recent videos that I had the pleasure of making. So thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching. Take care.